With digital operations becoming more mainstream among firms amid the new normal comes an increase in cyber attacks and threats to business activities. Joining us via Zoom on their cybersecurity forecasts for the Asia Pacific this 2023 is Steven Scheurmann, Palo Alto Network's Regional Vice President for ASEAN. Good evening, Steven.
Good evening, Maya, and a mabuhay to all of the Philippines.
Mabuhay. Now, briefly, I'd like to talk about your key findings in your latest survey on cybersecurity. What are the predictions for 2023, given that there was a marked increase or sharp escalation of cyber attacks across industries last year?
Yeah, so just a couple things. For 2022, we had 5 predictions. All 5 transpired. The background of our predictions, it's not us guessing or just making wild assumptions. There is a lot of thought that goes into it, and it's based on our Unit 42 threat intelligence insights, because we collect a lot of data and telemetry from around the world from our customers. Now, specifically for 2023, we're looking at increased adoption of 5G. We are seeing the potential of threat and vulnerability of medical devices and IoT. We are going to see cloud supply chain attacks. We will see further debate as it relates to data sovereignty. And last but not least, the ongoing discussion around the metaverse. I think it's important to understand all 5 of these predictions definitely apply to the Philippines.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting that you said that. It applies to the Philippines, and I guess the attackers also are finding new ways to exploit what is in the new normal. And it was interesting that it mentioned they're exploiting the cryptocurrency boom and the hybrid work setup.
Yes. So there are 2 parts to your question comment there. So the crypto boom, that allows the bad actors and the organized criminals basically to undertake criminal activity, and it's very hard to trace where the money flows. More specifically around hybrid work. So let's use an example specific to the Philippines. In the past, you and I would go into the office. The option now for an employee is you can work from the office, you can go to Rustam's Coffee. I may decide I'm going to work from Jollibee. I may decide also to work from home via the cloud, through an application, through some sort of varied device. It may be an office device, it may be my personal device. What that all basically means is increased risk, because the attack surface has increased. Now, the hybrid work environment is something Palo Alto Networks is heavily focused on. How do we basically ensure there's continuous validation? How do we limit implicit trust? And most importantly, we have a consistent security framework. So for us, there should be absolute zero exceptions as it relates to zero trust. Mm-hmm. And this is really important because hybrid is here to stay. Mm-hmm. And we're here to support that change in the business environment.
Yes. Well, what are the common mistakes committed by organizations when it comes to cybersecurity?
Yeah, this is a great question, Mai. So I would probably classify a term called cyber fitness. What you have seen in the Philippines for the last 2 years due to COVID is increased acceleration to digital and cloud. Secondly, the Philippine population is 70% below the median age of 30, if I'm not wrong. So it's a very young population. So digital transformation has been significant. Now, because you move to the cloud and or use an application in the cloud does not necessarily mean that you are cyber fit. So often they're very simple mistakes around the people element. So a big part of our work is providing the technology through our partners, like the telco providers in the Philippines, like Globe, but more so also providing the soft skills. So for example, with USAID's Beacon program, we are providing the information, communication, and technology ecosystem framework to ensure Filipinos have the skills and the expertise to undertake digital transformation in the best practice manner.
Okay, now we're seeing hybrid setup is becoming mainstream. We're expecting cyber attacks to be commonplace in this new normal. But tell us, which industries are most vulnerable to cyber attacks and why?
Yeah, so I mean, criminals are, there's one thing consistent with criminals globally. They will follow where the money is. So specific to the Philippines, I mean, the SME space is a great example whereby organizations have adopted and deployed digital applications or digital platforms, digital offerings. So because of the mass adoption of these types of platforms, criminals will gravitate to these areas. That's where the money is. Likewise, in the Philippines, many of the banks have digital banking. Criminals will gravitate to this. So you could look at the top end. You could even look at the public sector. Government is providing services now in the cloud or through digital frameworks. And criminals are after our personal identities. And that is something to be concerned about. All those different scenarios I've mentioned, Palo Alto Networks is actively engaged, helping the public sector, the telcos, the banks, and most importantly for the Philippines, the SME space, because typically they're the ones that struggle to get expertise to the right cyber people and to have the ability to invest in cyber.
Yes.
And that's where we can help through our partners and ourselves directly.
So how does the Philippines fare compared to other countries in the Asia Pacific in terms of cyber security? And given that cyber attacks are evolving, how can companies keep up in countering these attacks?
Yeah, this is a great question. There's a couple pieces of this puzzle because it's a complex topic. Firstly, you've got to have the right governments and laws in place. So I'm very encouraged to see in the Philippines the recent revision of the Cyber Prevention Act. This is an important step, and Palo Alto Networks is 100% supportive of this revision. It puts the right law in place to deter the criminals. That's step one. Then it's working with partners to deliver the best of breed technology. So we work with the telcos, with the banks, with the government in the Philippines. And the last element I would call is the soft skills. It's working with NGOs, education institutions to provide the soft skills and the training that the Philippine economy has the people to support this digital transformation. It's a very complex problem, but I can tell you with a high level of confidence, Palo Alto Networks is committed to the Philippines. I'm regularly in the Philippines, and we work with many of the government institutions and departments and the private sector in the Philippines.
Yes, we really need to look at innovative solutions, technologies, and approaches in terms of combating these cyber attacks. And I hope companies and organizations are prepared for 2023.
Yes, I mean, they can be assured we are here, and I always look forward to coming to the Philippines to assist with this digital transformation.
Thank you for your insights. Steven Scheurmann, Palo Alto Networks Regional Vice President for ASEAN.